tell me a little bit about where you were born and what your brothers and sisters, and let's start there.
Well, I was born in Charlottesville in 1960, and I have one sister who's 3 years younger than I am, and we actually grew up in Buckingham County, over in a little community of Arvonia. My dad worked at the slate quarry for a number of years. Little town was called Stumptown. It actually was a lot like Mayberry on the Andy Griffith Show. I mean, almost exactly like that, laid back. Never say care about anything. You know, you could go to bed at night and leave your doors and windows unlocked and didn't have a thing to worry about.
Stumptown was in Buckingham?
Mm-hmm. Over by the slate quarries.
Huh. Oh, by the quarries?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's correct.
I didn't know what that area was called.
Yep, it was called Stumptown.
Huh.
Why, I don't know. How it ever got its name, I really don't know.
Okay. All right. Did your dad play music?
No, he was a big country and bluegrass fan. We always had records in the house. I mean, country records, bluegrass records. I mean, always. And we had an old-fashioned record player, and there was music on all the time. One big influence, as a kid growing up, was Henry Fulcher out of Farmville, WFLO. I mean, our radio in the house was tuned to WFLO all the time. So when you got up in the morning, you turned it on. Henry was on, and he was playing bluegrass.
Is he still around?
He's still playing, yes, sir.
Is he?
Almost 50 years, and he's still from 5 a.m. to 6:30 a.m. 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. He's still going strong.
50 years on the radio.
Yes, it's pushing that.
You ever met him?
Oh yeah, quite a few times. He was the MC of the Scottsville Bluegrass Festival last year.
Okay. Oh, that's neat. That's cool.
Yeah.
So when did you start? What instruments do you play, Robert?
I play banjo, guitar, mandolin, bass, and dobro.
Okay, what instruments don't you play, Robert?
I don't play the fiddle. I have one, but I don't play it.
What's that?
I have a fiddle, but I don't play it.
You don't play it?
No.
Well, what instruments did you start out on?
I started with guitar when I was about 14, and I started playing the banjo when I was 18.
Okay. I take it by your screen name, banjo may be your favorite?
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah. That's what I primarily played from the inception of the group until about a year ago when I had to switch over to guitar out of necessity. Our guitar player, 15 years left, and we really couldn't find a guitar player, so I played guitar. Greg, who plays banjo now, was our fiddle player, and I knew he played banjo, so we just made a switch.
And what about the dobro? How long have you been playing that?
Probably about 6 or 7 years. I don't play it on stage that often. Every now and then, if the mood will strike, we want to do some old country stuff, some old Patsy Cline stuff. The classic country from the 50s and early 60s. Mm-hmm. We may do a few songs there, and I'll play the dobro then, but that's not very often.
When you started out on guitar at 14, did you start out with bluegrass and country?
Primarily bluegrass.
Did you ever venture away from bluegrass, have a rebellious stage where you went into rock or anything?
No, sir. Never have. I guess probably the only non-bluegrass I really listened to, if you want to call rebel, I was a huge John Denver fan. Still am.
But he was folk, acoustic.
Yeah, mm-hmm.
Still are a Denver fan, huh?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to win Jim over. Well, when you started playing at 14, did you take lessons or were you self-taught?
Self-taught.
Do you read music?
No, sir. Not at all.
So you play all your instruments by ear, including...
By ear. I can read your standard tablature that's written for guitar and banjo. If I run up on something I can't pick up by ear, I'll try to look for the tablature, and if I can't find tablature, I'll actually contact the person who did the recording. Say if it's a guitar lick or a banjo lick, I'll actually contact the person and see if he'll tab it out for me and send it to me.
What kind of success you get on that?
Pretty good, actually. Almost everyone that I've contacted, no problem. They'll generally tape the lick on a cassette tape and send me the tab with it, and I, send them $4 or $5 to, cover their costs.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. So you got a banjo at 14. Was that a gift, or did you buy it, or
well, no, I bought it. Guitar at 14. Let's see, when I started playing the banjo, I was probably about 18 when I started playing the banjo. But I bought that too. I bought that at the old Best Product store there in Richmond.
When you started playing the guitar and started picking this thing up by ear, how long was it before you were entertaining your family?
Probably about a year.
About a year?
Year and a half, maybe, yeah.
Were they surprised?
No, not really.
Huh. When did you first decide or wind up going on stage, Robert? When was your first, what you would call your public appearance?
Probably in Scottsville, about 1978. They used to have a one-day bluegrass event on Labor Day every year at the park down there in Scottsville. And I was in the Navy then, and the ship I was on, it was a couple of guys that we got together and picked. And I contacted my dad and asked him if they were still having the event in Scottsville on Labor Day, and he said, yeah. And I said, well, see if they would mind us coming up and playing. And he said, sure. So apparently he worked it out and took some leave, and 3 of us came here and played a show there in Scottsville.
The 3 Navy buddies?
Mm-hmm.
You've been playing with them in the Navy?
Yeah.
So when you said you got together and you did a show, how long were you on?
About 45 minutes.
So it's almost like you do now in the Bluegrass Festival?
Yeah.
Huh. And where did you go after that? Was that the beginning of it? Did you start performing pretty regularly then?
Not with those guys, but I was stationed in Jacksonville, Florida, and at that time in '78, Jacksonville was a hotbed of bluegrass. They had a lot of lounges and bars where there were bluegrass, like say Thursday night, Friday night type deal, and I would frequent the clubs, and ran up on a group down there called the Sounds of Bluegrass, and ended up sitting in with them on guitar, like on Saturday nights, and then I ended up joining and playing in their band for probably about 2 years.
About 1980?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
And I played strictly guitar with them while I was still learning to play the banjo.
Does your sister play?
No.
So you're really, outside of being raised in a musical family, as far as having the recordings going and the records, there's not really, where did you get your talent? Is there anyone in your family that comes back?
My grandmother on my father's side, of course, she passed in 1979. But from what I understand, she was a state champion fiddle player.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
What was her name?
Her name was Ruby Farley, Farley.
Huh.
Farley was her maiden name. But it's my understanding that she actually played at the competition in Galax back in the late 30s and early 40s.
I'll be darned.
I haven't been able to verify that from any records, but people that knew her said that she competed at Galax back then.
Did you ever get to hear her play?
No. She had arthritis real bad when I was a kid growing up, and I never did get to hear her play. But I heard a lot of people in the community would talk about her, how she used to play at local barn dances.
I'll be darned.
So I guess that's where I got it from.
That's neat. Did she live there in Scottsville?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about how Willow Branch got formed.
Well, let's see. Well, I got the name Willow Branch off of a road sign in Jacksonville, Florida. And, if I remember correctly, what happened was I was playing with a group called Southland Express, and we all had an agreement that we could play with other groups, and if we did that, we couldn't use the name Southland Express. Well, myself and one of the other guys in the band, there was a local talent competition one night, and we grabbed, 3 or 4 musicians from other bluegrass bands, and we were going to go into this competition. I still remember it was on a Tuesday night, and we were trying to decide what to call ourselves. And on the way to this competition, we stopped at a red light and looked, and there was a street sign that said Willow Branch Avenue. And I said, that would be a good name to call ourselves. Let's go by Willow Branch. Okay. So we went to the competition, and we were the only bluegrass band. This was a talent contest with, at the time, there was disco band, because this was like 1980, 81. Disco was still hot. There were southern, because being in Florida, there were southern rock bands, there were disco bands, rhythm and blues bands, and we were the only bluegrass band, and we actually won the competition.
Really? Oh, great.
Yeah.
with that road sign band name.
That's it. That's where I got the name from. I got out of the Navy in 1982, and when I got out of the Navy and moved back home, I kind of wanted to start my own group because I'd been a sideman with 3 groups in Florida, which was the Sounds of Bluegrass, Southland Express, and the Valley Grass. And I just kept the name.
Huh. So you were never with another group when you come back from Florida?
No, I did play for about 6 months with Chief Powhatan.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
I think it was about 1989 or something. I believe I played about 6 months with him while I was playing with Willow Branch.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was an experience, believe me.
How do you mean?
Playing with Chief. Well, number one, you never practiced. He would give you his albums and just tell you to learn the breaks. Okay. So I brought the albums home, learned the breaks the way they were on his. Cause I played the banjo with him.
Yeah.
Learned the breaks the way they were on his recordings, but you never practiced, and you never played the same song in the same key. And he would never.
That makes things a little bit interesting.
He would never tell you what key he was going to play a song in. He would just start it off on a guitar. Like his signature song was Rosie.
Yeah.
Okay?
A huge hit for him.
He might do Rosie tonight in A. Tomorrow night he might do it in F.
Oh, Lord.
The next night he might do it in C, but he would never tell you. It's whatever he felt like singing it in at the time.
That's pretty good.
Well, yeah, I tell you, you'll talk to Mel Hughes about that. Mel will tell you Mel played with him for forever.
Now, Mel's still around here in Richmond, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was definitely
I think.
Definitely experience playing with Chief, let me tell you. I mean I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But
kept you on your toes, though.
Yes, sir.
So how did the sound come out, not practicing and constantly changing what key you're going to play in?
Well, generally the kickoffs to the song stunk.
About 30 seconds into it, you all got in the same key.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He usually, I'm not trying to make fun of him because it's the honest truth. You were generally about halfway through the first chorus. About halfway through the first verse, almost to the chorus. before everybody finally he pulled up or down or whatever. And
that's a neat little bit of history to know, though.
And in sync with him.
And he just kept going.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes, sir.
Now, did he play guitar?
Yeah, he played guitar.
Yeah. I got an album of his, more in '84.
Oh, yeah. Carlton still played the banjo on that. That's actually probably, to me, one of the best projects Chief ever did.
Yeah.
That's real good.
I noticed one song on there he even wrote. That's how I figured out what his real name was, because I didn't know that much about Chief Powhatan until just here recently I started hearing things about him and learning some of the history. So that's kind of neat to learn a little bit more.
His obituary, I'm trying to remember when he passed. He passed probably, it's been about 8, maybe 10 years ago.
I saw it on the internet, it said 2000. So
2000? Okay. But if I remember correctly, I think he either had 16 or 17 children.
Good Lord.
Yeah, married to the same woman probably 55, 60 years. Because he was like, I believe...
And he was full-blooded Indian, too, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I thought he was.
Huh. So your official date then of coming, you got out of the Navy in '82, and how long after that did you form Willow Branch?
February of '83.
You got that down. And was Gail in the band then?
Yes, she was.
And why don't you tell me how you met Gail?
Well, I first met Gail when I was about 7 years old. Gail's about 6 years older than I am. But Gail and her sisters were singing in church back then. And Gail actually played the banjo.
Really?
And she had a sister who played the guitar, and they used to play...
Is there anybody in your band that doesn't play the banjo?
No.
I didn't think so.
Gail doesn't play anymore. I mean, she'll sit down here with me and tinkle us a little bit. She can still play Old Joe Clark and a couple things.
Yeah.
But I first met her when I was about 7 years old. Her and her sisters were playing in church. And, of course, I saw her 2 or 3 times after that over the next couple of years. And then didn't get musically involved with her until many years later. I was still in the Navy, and when I'd come home on leave, my dad would call a mutual friend of Gail's and I, who was a picker, and that's pretty much how we got together. Eventually, and got married.
She remember meeting you at 7?
No. I don't think so. You can ask her, but I don't think so.
I already have. She was telling us yesterday that you met her. You remember meeting her at 7 years old.
Yeah.
She also said that you told her that you thought she was kind of stuck up.
Yes, she was. I asked her if I could see her banjo. She said no.
She's claiming now she had the measles.
And I'm like, that's okay. You know, one of these days I'll grow up and I'll be a better banjo picker.
That's funny.
So you got the band going in February of '83, and it was you and Gail, and who were the other members?
Well, it was 3 of us at the time. It was Gail and I and a fellow by the name of Eddie Overholzer, who is from Waynesboro.
Uh-huh.
And we met him at the State Bluegrass competition, the VFMA competition, and that time it was held in Chase City.
Yeah, okay.
Gail and I had gone down there with our mutual friend, and was picking and ran up on Eddie and asked him if he was interested in playing. That would have been in September of '82 when that happened. And we got together a few times after that, and things started clicking. So officially in February of '83, we took off with it. But we started as a 3-piece.
Okay. And then you grew out, because you did eventually get up to a 5-piece, didn't you?
Oh yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
When did the other members come on?
Other members came on in, I want to say, September of '85, when Gail and I and Eddie went to the VFMA competition again at Chase City, and we ran up on Vernon Maupin and Sue Maupin and Dee Williams. They were playing as a trio at the state competition. And we just, I don't know, I really don't remember exactly how we got together down there, but we did at the competition and played out in the parking lot, and things kind of clicked, and we put our heads together and, hey, you know, you want to practice, you want to play, yeah, and it just clicked, and that was really the first real Willow Branch.
Yeah.
But it was 5 pieces then.
Where did Sue and Vernon live at?
At the time, they lived in a little place called Faber.
Huh.
Faber, Virginia.
Uh-huh.
And Sue passed away 3 years ago. And but we played with them till about 1990, and her job took her and Vernon to Florida.
Did the band stay going then after 90?
Yeah, oh yeah. I had met a guy named Ronnie Shiflett, who was a guitar player at one of the VFMA competitions, and just kept his name on the back burner. And when Vernon and Sue gave us their notice, I called him and asked him if he wanted to play, and he jumped right on it.
Huh.
And he was with us from 1990 until June of 2005. 15 years.
Wow. Y'all been doing this a long time.
Yes, sir. We certainly have.
And then who came on? When did Greg come? Did Greg or Doug come on first?
Doug.
Doug did?
Mm-hmm.
And he's been with you, what, about a year and a half now? 2 years.
Well, he's been with us twice. He came on, I'm trying to think, I believe it was in 2002, and played with us for about 2 years, then left for about a year, and then come back.
So Greg's your newest member?
Yes. Greg came on with us in the latter part of 2004, I believe.
So when we first saw him, he was just new to the group.
Who? Doug?
No, Greg.
Greg, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, the first time we were telling the day, the first time we saw y'all was at VFMA.
Oh, really?
2004, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think Greg was real new with y'all then.
Was he playing the fiddle then?
Primarily, I think he played a lot of fiddle that night.
Okay.
He did do a little claw hammer.
Yeah. Okay.
Has Gail always sung the lead?
Most of it, yes. I mean, she's been a lead singer. Vernon was a lead singer. Sue sang some lead. Eddie, Crazy Eddie, Eddie Overhalter, he sang lead from time to time. Ronnie Shiflett sang lead from time to time.
Huh. That's one of the things I really like about your band is, I absolutely love Gail's voice. I was talking today about with Jim is that it's so powerful, it's so clear, and it's got so much emotion in it. But at the same time, when y'all are up on stage, you know, that lead spotlight gets shared.
Yeah.
And that really, I think, sets you all apart from a lot of other bands.
Well, that's one thing I've tried to do is not to be in a group with, say, a leader, such as, say, John Doe and Willow Branch.
Yeah.
It's always been, everybody in our band shares equal billing. There's no star. No one person gets top billing.
Right.
I think that's one of the reasons why I've had this group for 23, 24 years.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody has an equal say in band business. Everybody has an equal say in song selection, and we all get an equal share of the money across the board. No one person makes more than anyone else.
Huh.
That's cool.
That is neat. Doing this for 23 years, that's a long time. What I don't know how to ask this question, Robert, so help me out here. I guess what I'm trying to get to is 14, you started playing the guitar, you're self-taught, you played the banjo, you played the fiddle, you own a fiddle, you played a dobro. Well, can you describe that passion for this music that you have?
Well, I first fell in love with it, of course, back in the middle 60s with, the Darlings being on the Andy Griffith Show and Flatt and Scruggs being on Beverly Hillbillies.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know, something about that music, it just has always interested me. I can't describe what it is or what it was then, but it's, the passion is still there today as it was 30 years ago, 40 years ago.
How many albums and CDs have you all recorded?
Let me see. 1, 2, 3. This is our third one.
Third?
Yeah. We actually have 4 projects, but the last one is a compilation of the first 2. We kind of did like a best of. We did the first album was done in 1987, and that was with Vernon and Sue Moffman and D.E. Williams, and our second one was done in 93, and that's when I had Ronnie Shiflett and Charlie Frazier. And Charlie Frazier's name may sound familiar. He played with us for about 5 years, but he also played with Alvin Breeden, which is now they're called the Virginia Ramblers.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Charlie played mandolin and sang with us for about 5 years while he was playing with Alvin Breeden.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
He just couldn't get enough.
Yeah, he was doing double duty.
So y'all went from 93 to 2006 without a CD?
Well, like I say, in 2003, 2004, I think 2003, what I done was took the best cuts off of the previous 2 projects and had like a CD.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just a compilation. We called it by request. But as far as actually sitting down and working on a project and recording, then yes, that statement is correct. From 1993 to 2006.
You still have a day job?
Oh yeah.
Where do y'all do? Are y'all booked almost every weekend, Robert?
During the summer, we usually from April to about October, mid-October. It's safe to say we're probably booked 3 weekends out of each month.
Wow.
We work anywhere from 35 to say 50 gigs in the summertime.
This is probably this question doesn't make any sense, but being booked that much, I don't know if y'all do long road trips, but is there any drawbacks to going out and doing gigs 3-4 times a month?
No, not anymore.
Not anymore?
No, I would say it used to be because when we were first starting out, we would drive North and South Carolina. We'd go to West Virginia. We'd go to Maryland and Pennsylvania and play door jobs. Try to get yourself established. But in the last 6 or 7 years, most everywhere we go, people know who we are, and we're actually getting paid decent money now. So if
it only took you 20 years to do that.
Yeah. We were first starting out. The drawbacks were, long hours and very little pay. You wouldn't make any money.
Yeah. You did it because you loved it.
Yeah, you'd probably spend in gas, food, and lodging $500 to make $200.
Well, what's the most memorable venue you've ever played in?
Governor's Mansion in Richmond.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
What'd you play there for?
QVC Shopping Network in 1996 did a whole week of shows in the state of Virginia. It was called Virginia Week, that featured Virginia products and services. And they were doing a show in Richmond, and it was at the Governor's Mansion, and it was featuring products and services from the Richmond area. And George Allen was a governor then, and I mean, it was great.
That's cool.
Yeah.
George Allen, he's a lover of country.
Oh yeah, he's in bluegrass.
Oh yeah.
Yes, sir.
He sure is.
Yeah. He's actually booked us 1 or 2 jobs since he's left the governor's mansion.
Really?
A couple of political fundraisers, yeah.
Huh.
We played for him.
That's neat.
I mean, we'll play for Democrats too, as long as they have money. We've done that.
Play for them, don't vote for them. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah. if they have money, we'll play too. To me, money knows no political affiliation.
There you go.
Because we did in '84, we did play for when Gerald Belials, and he was a Democrat when he was running for governor. We played a couple of fundraisers for him.
Huh. That's cool. Tell us how about your current project. It's been at least 3 years in the making, probably, from the compilation that you did. Doug's got one song there that he wrote. I know Gail, every time she stood up to a mic, she said, "It's coming."
Yeah.
For a while.
Yeah, so why don't you tell us about your project, what it was like to make it, what do you hope for it?
Well, we started recording on it back in February, and we actually did it here in our basement. we didn't go in a studio. Doug is very well versed with computers and that type of technology, and he had all the equipment, and we had about 6 or 7 sessions right here in the basement, and we recorded it. He downloaded on the computer and did all the mixing and mastering right there on the computer.
That's cool. He was telling us earlier that he got all that equipment off eBay for $35.
Yeah. Yeah. I tell you, our first 2 projects we actually recorded in professional studios, and I was kind of skeptical as to how it was going to, turn out. I mean, the quality, but to me it turned out very well.
Yeah, but we've listened to it a few times now. And
I wouldn't hesitate to do it again. I think Doug did an outstanding job.
He did.
What do? Take the master somewhere and have a whole bunch of them burnt?
Yeah, somewhere in Lynchburg. He knows a fellow that does that on the side. And that was actually done last week. I mean, the CDs were delivered to us yesterday morning, just in time for the festival.
Really, just in time.
Yeah.
But it certainly was obvious yesterday. You all had a following.
Oh yeah. That's I'd say in the last 5 years, our fan base, if that's what you want to call it, has really picked up. I really can't explain how that is. I imagine probably from playing the 4th of July gigs in Scottsville.
Yeah. Are they still held up at the IGA parking lot?
I don't think so. I don't think they've done it in a couple of years.
That's right. This year wasn't it down at the river?
Yeah.
Down at the park by the old school.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. They said the crowd for our show was, they said, probably close to 4,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
It always amazed me how that little community at 4th of July drew so many people.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like you knew. Well, I had no idea where they came from, because there's no way they came from, certainly from the town of Scottsville.
No, they come from all over.
Yeah, I mean, they were coming in from Charlottesville, way over in Dillwyn.
Yeah, and see, the town of Scottsville, they advertise that. They start about 3 to 4 months in advance.
Yeah.
As far as the advertising is concerned.
That's always been a big draw for that town.
Oh, yeah.
So, on the album that y'all just released, CD, what song is your favorite?
Probably Doug's song, "Grave Without a Name," because it's an original.
Yeah, it's a moving song.
Yeah.
Really a moving song.
Yeah, he has it copyrighted. I wish he would try to pitch it to somebody like Larry Sparks or somebody in that genre that does, because Larry does a lot of if you listen to his past recordings in the last 8 or 10 years, a ballad type, and he's recorded quite a bit of Civil War songs.
Yeah.
And I think I told Doug, I said, if you pitch it to somebody like him and he records it and gets it out there, I said, you know, you may never have to work again.
That's right. That's right.
You know.
Yeah. Well, you think Doug's going to do that?
I don't know. I don't know. I wish he would. I've talked to him about it, but I don't know. I really don't know.
You mentioned that when you were growing up, you had Flat and Scruggs on TV doing the Beverly Hillbillies and all. What were, and you listened to music all the time in your family. What were some of your big influences in this music?
What do you mean, other musicians?
Yeah. I mean, everyone talks about Monroe and Martin.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, who really caught your interest as a youth or a young adult?
Probably Earl Scruggs.
Scruggs?
Yeah.
Because of the band. That's the style banjo you pick?
Mm-hmm.
Since it's VABluegrass.com, what Virginia influence or Virginia band do you think that?
Well, when I was in high school, Lost and Found was really hot.
Lost and Found?
Lost and Found, yeah, with Alan Mills. They used to come to their high school once a year and put on a show, and my dad used to always take me.
Really?
And, yeah, I used to always try to get a front row seat.
Alan's been around a long time too.
Yeah, boy, they've been around since about 72, 73, I think.
Yeah.
But Lost and Found as far as local influence. Yeah, I mean that's.
Well, what do you in your music life? Mm-hmm. Are you where you want to be, or where do you want to go?
I think all of us are pretty happy what we're doing. We really don't aspire to be a full-time group. I mean, that's saying doing it for a living. We'd like to get more exposure, like more radio airplay. We'd like to play more festivals. But I mean, overall, with the band, the way things are going, we're relatively happy with the way they are. And there's really not much right now I think we would change other than maybe say getting more festival work.
Are they hard to get?
Well,
it seems like lately there's a lot of big promoters that have gotten festivals pretty well locked down.
Yeah, but one thing with the festivals, it's a lot of politics involved, and you've got to be involved in some of the cliques. And if you're not in the clique, you don't get in. And we prefer, honestly, to play the private gigs because there's really no competition with other bands. There's really no critics or criticism, and the money's better. I mean, you get more exposure at festivals.
Right.
But the private gigs are less stress and better money.
Do you write?
No, I've written a couple of instrumentals that we've recorded, but that's it.
Are they credited on your albums?
Yeah.
Jim's running all around trying to find your new CD, and I've got it sitting right here in my hand.
I just looked over and said, "That's what I'm looking for." Could kill it.
Robert, now's your chance, to tell me some stuff about your band members. Gail made the statement the other day when you all go on road trips. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, it is. It is. It's like a mini vacation.
Is it?
Oh, sure. Yep.
Who's the humor in the group?
Greg.
Greg. So far, that gives him a unanimous vote from all the other band.
Oh Oh, yeah. I mean, just to hear him talk, I mean, the jokes he tells, a lot of the stories he tells us about when he was growing up and visiting relatives in West Virginia, and it's just amazing. He just keeps us double over in laughter all the time. And most of the time I think he doesn't mean it. It's just the way it just happens.
Yeah.
You know, he's a comedian without really trying. And we love him to death.
Yeah, I was talking to him yesterday about doing this interview, and it was funny because when we were down at Twin Lakes, when we first started talking about this, Greg was into it, and yesterday he was all by himself.
Yeah.
And I started talking to him, and Gail had said he'll get real quiet on you.
Yeah, he will.
And it was like he looked at me like I almost thought he was going to tell me he didn't want to do it.
No, he won't do that.
So I finally told him, I said, well, you know, I understand you can get quiet on me, Greg, but if you do, I think I'm just going to have Gail give you a call.
Man, he'd perk up then.
He sure did.
Yeah, he would definitely perk up then.
Where do you see the future of this music going?
Well, I think it's growing all the time. Yeah, you hear more bluegrass on the radio. You see more of it on TV. I think that it has a great future.
Yeah, I think we were talking earlier with Doug on Worldwide Bluegrass that I was telling you about. They got a chat room, and it's amazing the number of Canadians and Europeans, especially one guy from Holland that gets in that room, and he actually plays Australians, a lot of Australians.
Yeah.
He actually, the guy from Holland, he actually was in there this morning and just finished a gig, and it was a bluegrass gig, and it's really supposed to be taking off over there. Well, if there's something you could pass on out of your music, what would that be?
Don't know.
Gotcha.
I don't know. Well, what are you looking for? What are you hitting at?
Well, you know, if it's not so much, I guess, what he can be remembered for, but you know,
right.
When we look at this music and we look at it's niche music. I mean, we're one of the national
community, maybe a better word.
Yeah. Well,
we're a pretty small community in a lot of ways.
Yeah. And you know, it's you look around the festivals, and a lot of us are getting gray-haired.
Sure.
You know, and I guess sometimes you hear people say, "I wonder what the future of this is going to be, or how's it going to stay alive?" And what's going to do that is a recording artist.
Right. Well, that, and I think one thing too is getting more kids involved.
Yeah.
You know, because like that Dillon boy yesterday, you know, he played. We let him play with us on both sets.
Yeah.
And you know, the boy's very good. I think, you know, in another 5 or 6 years, he's 17, 18, 19 years old. You know, you probably gonna see him on a national level.
Yeah.
The thing of it is, to me, is getting the kids involved, because the kids are the future of the music, and without younger kids coming up and playing it, you know, it would eventually die.
Yeah, it's amazing because some of y'all, is it them that played an old song? What? Wasn't it Greg when you broke your string yesterday? I guess it was Greg broke the string. You were putting Greg's string on. They played a song, and the Lord knows how many years old that is. I mean, some of the stuff that gets played goes back 100 years.
Oh yeah,
or more, I guess.
Well, see, one thing too, we try to do that. We actually have done this, gone to radio stations that play bluegrass and old time string music, and try to find stuff, you know, that's 70, 80, 90, 100 years old that hadn't been overdone, you know, and try to go back to the roots and try to keep it alive.
Because it's a whole unique sound.
Yeah.
I noticed on your newest album you've got a song on here called Wheels.
Yeah.
And I didn't recognize that one right off.
Buck Owens.
Is it? Is it beautiful?
I believe, if I remember correctly, I believe that is a Don Rich composition.
It says traditional on the...
Yeah, Doug did that, but Greg said that he got that off of Buck Owens' album, and it said Don Rich.
Okay. I just wondering if that was, because it sounded like something I should know, but not something that had been so overdone that, it was new to me.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say.
And from the best I can tell, we're the first bluegrass group to record that. I don't think you'll find any other recording bluegrass with that.
Yeah. Did the Buck Owens version have vocals, or was it instrumental?
No, it was instrumental. And electric guitar, steel, and drums, all that. Yeah. He just took it and applied it to the banjo.
Huh.